guys, it's your girl Matt Cox with MA Couture Crafting coming at you with another video. You guys, this video is so important to me because I think it was quilt number 5. Yeah, quilt number 5. I took to FedEx. It was folded nicely. It wasn't tied with ribbon or anything like that, but it was nicely folded. And I don't know what I was thinking. I don't ship a lot of things, so it's not something that I do on a regular basis. I don't know what I was thinking. But in my mind, I think I saw me and whomever was behind the counter making this look beautiful in the box to ship, blah, blah, blah. I think I had a matching card because I always do a matching card with my quilts. Yeah, that didn't happen. I almost wanted to cry. That woman put that quilt in there and stuffed it in there the best way. And it had come apart, and it was horrible. It was the worst experience ever. And my quilts should be an experience. You guys know how I feel about piecing the backs and putting these beautifully written labels and things. Like, my quilts should be an experience from the top to the bottom. And so as I continue on my journey, things will certainly evolve. And one of the things that has evolved in well, technically, I think this is year 2, but technically I guess it's year 2. But anyway, the way that I gift my quilts has to change because I can never, ever, ever see that happen again. So now this is what I do. This is what I would consider a finished, this is a finish. This is a drawstring bag. This is holding the Dresden Beauty quilt. And this right here is what I would consider a Cadillac finish. This one right here, this one is a little different. And this one is holding the Lucky Clover quilt. I think, yeah, you guys have seen the Lucky Clover quilt. There's actually another one here that I would consider a Cadillac finish. And that one is holding the, I haven't named that quilt yet. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you will have seen what that quilt looks like. But I guess at this point, you guys really don't know. That's a beauty right there too. But anyway, all that to say, now my quilts will come in a drawstring bag, and I make the drawstring bag just a little bit larger than it needs to be because I don't know if who I'm gifting it to can fold it the same way that I did. And yeah, that's convenient for them. Also, I will take the drawstring bag and place it inside of a clear, not a black, a clear garbage bag with the card inside. That will get placed in a box that is sealed with tape on all of the edges, and also will probably have some stuffing in the box so that it doesn't move around too much. And that is how people will be receiving my quilts from now on. I will never just give somebody a quilt and hope that they will treat it with the respect that it deserves without having a casing. Now, I know some people do pillowcases, and for whatever reason, I think it's weird to give somebody one pillowcase. And that's, I don't know, something about that is weird to me. That's not what I want to do. So from here on out, I will be doing drawstring bags that fit my quilt. If you would like to see how I do it, please continue on watching. And the way that I do it, you just go ahead and do the measurements and it will work out every time. And I will tell you what those are in this video. I will also do a separate video for a Cadillac finish gifting and then just a finished. And the finished is beautiful. I really like this bag. But I would because it's got stripes and polka dots on it. So it's me all day long. But it's also a great way to get rid of your scraps. I buy more fabric than I need because I always assume that I'm going to screw up some fabric and I don't want to have to go back to the store and hunt that fabric. So I have, and I'm starting to build a stash, and I don't believe in a stash. This is a great way to bust your stash because the regular finish doesn't use as much fabric as the Cadillac finishes, but the Cadillac finishes are pretty cool because the bags are reversible and lined and sexy with these bows. You guys know I like a good bow. So again, if you'd like to see how I gift my quilts from here on out, please keep watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye-bye. This quilt here is going to measure 15 by, I believe, 13. It's either 15 by 15 or 15 by 13. And I just do a little quilt math here, and I end up making this panel 20 by 50. And so when you fold it in half, you just make sure that you're on the 25 mark line and you're good to go. So I'm taking this leftover fabric that I have from the quilt and I'm just sewing pieces together, no rhyme, no reason, till the panel makes 20 by 50. So once it gets there, then I'm good. But I'm just sewing pieces together. Anything that's going to be raw, I'm pinking the ends. And all that means is that I'm cutting it with that little frayed edge so that it does not fray. You can serge it or you can zigzag this. It just depends upon what you want to do. I wish that I had sewn the seam at a 1/2 inch so that way I would have had more to be able to cut it off. But oh well, not a big deal. I just bought those pinking shears. I've been dying to buy pinking shears and now I have some and they're by Fiskars, who I totally trust. So I am just sewing this panel together again till I get to a panel that is 20 by 50. I'm sewing all kinds of pieces together, polka dots, stripes, whatever I have that looks like it makes sense. I also bought a pinking blade and put that in one of my rotary cutters. I like the pinking blade. It was really fast and it totally works. It's pretty cool. And I'm just doing this again on the seams that are going to be raw, that are on the inside. So now that I've gotten my panel to the size I want, I roll up that edge 1/4 inch. And I just started with that ruler and then I eyeball it. Not that big of a deal. This is not, you know, super accurate sewing here. After I roll it up 1/4 inch, I roll it again another 1/4 inch and then I stitch it all down. So I do that for the sides and the top. So this is me doing the top. I'm going to use my ruler and roll it down just 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to press that and then I'll roll it one more time and then sew it down using less than 1/4 inch to sew it down. Now all of the edges are finished. There's nothing unfinished showing. And then I roll down, this is the top. I do the same thing for the top and the bottom. I roll it down 1 1/4 inches. So I'm just folding it down 1 1/4 inches. I do that for both of the short ends. Again, this panel is 20 by 25. I mean by 50. Sorry, got to double that number. So I'm rolling it down and then I'm going to stitch this down once I finish. And that's going to create what they call a casing, which is where your drawstring is going to go. I press this just to make sure that it stays down. I mean, I'm not going to press it right there on my cutting mat, but I do end up eventually pressing this. And then I sew it down and I do the same thing for the other short side. So here is the other short side. And I've pressed these so that they kind of stay closed on their own at this point. And then you just sew down the line. This is me sewing down the line. I am not worried about the fact that you can see the other line of sewing. You can stitch directly on that line if you'd like. You can stitch next to it. It's just the casing. It's not that serious to me as far as this design goes, because once you cinch it, you won't even be able to see it. So I do that on both sides, on the short sides. And now I have created a little casing for my drawstring. So now I'm just trimming, and make sure you back tack where that starts and stops, because you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on those ends. So sew over it, then back up, then sew over it again. Now I'm putting right sides together, and now I'm just matching up the edges. And you're going to sew below that casing. Do not sew anywhere on that folded piece of fabric. Start right underneath it. Do not sew on that folded piece of fabric at all. Just start right under it. It should be like 1 1/4. Just start 1 1/4 and go down. Make sure that you stay on the left hand side of your original stitching so nobody can see that original stitching. That original stitching was just there to keep it finished and closed. But this is actually creating the bag. So again, stay to the left and make sure you back tack at the beginning and the ends of this, just where there's going to be a lot of pressure. Now you're going to flip this inside out. And boy, is this a pretty bag to me. I like it. Flipped inside out. And then I grab a bodkin. I love notions, right? So I bought pinking shears, a pinking blade, and now a bodkin. This one has got a clip on the back, so you need to make sure that it's at least an inch when you're going to use this one so that it has room to move. You can do this with a safety pin. I just like to have tools to do all the things. I'm going through the side, and I'm going to come back all the way through the other side, and then I'm going to come out on the end. I bought this trim from Joann's. It was expensive as I don't know what for a shoestring. So expensive. It makes no sense. So from here on out, I will probably be making my own strips with 2.5-inch strips or 2-inch strips. And then I just plopped it in there and cinched it up. Bam. Love it. This is the way to gift a quilt. Make sure you put it in a plastic bag, and then you put the box and seal the box. All right, guys, see you on my next video. Bye-bye.